Alright guys, today's the day. There's going to be a mad push to get this Toyota started today. I'm hoping for today. If not today, then tomorrow. Then I'll run the videos together. It is absolutely freezing cold this early morning. Lost track of the days. So I got most of, got the fuel lines. I haven't bled the brakes or anything on this Toyota yet. I ordered a new thermostat. I don't know that anything was wrong with the last thermostat, but I do know that it blew a head gasket, and I don't know why, and that's prior to me owning it. So when in doubt, it's cheap enough, just change it. So as soon as I get this fire built, I'm gonna go get that thermostat. I gotta buy a battery. I already bought the oil. Gotta buy some transmission or some radiator fluid. Speaking of transmission, I've got to hook up just the wires, speedometer cable, and I bought some new parts. There's like a rubber or plastic O-ring grommet thing. I had to get a new one of those. So I'll just go get a few parts. There is a ground wire that was attached to the frame, went somewhere, blah, blah, blah. I can't tell where it went. I see it on my photos that I took, but at some point I took it off because it is basically an off-frame kind of a dealy bob. But now I can't find that wire. I've got one more place I'm gonna look, which is in I got a snowmobile outside that's just tarped. And I'm hoping by chance it's under there. But like I said, it's absolutely freezing. So we'll get a fire going and then try to get this Toyota going. My only goal today, well, obviously would be to get it. Oh, I also have to put the muffler. I did get half the muffler on there. The other half's laying in here on the floor. It used to be one welded solid, together piece. I had to cut it just to get it out and get it in. So I'm gonna go get a sleeve, one of those sleeves that just goes over the pipe. And just for today, just to get this thing started, if everything's cool, I might I hate to weld it in yet because I want to change the muffler, but that's probably a few paychecks down the way. So, alright, we'll get this place warm. I've already sufficiently started coffee for the day, so we'll go from there. So far, here's where we're at this fine day. Just went to O'Reilly's, got my coolant, got my battery. When I bought this truck, it did not come with the battery. Let's see. Got a new one of these guys. This thing had blown a head gasket prior to me buying it, and then it sat there for 6-8 years or something like that. So I don't know the reason it blew a head gasket, but we're going to try to eliminate some of those reasons. It could just be whoever rebuilt this thing prior to me. I know this is not the original motor, and this is a 30-some going on 40-year-old vehicle. So it's been jimmy rigged. It's had all the emission stuff pulled out. I found this hose here. It's a mystery hose. I can't tell you where it goes as of now. It seems fairly important because it seems like it is a fuel line, but for the life of me, I can't find out where it goes, and it was not hooked up when I got this thing. So I might just find that it throws fluid or fuel everywhere. I don't know. You can see there's one bare right there, port, but it just does not look like it goes there. It doesn't even reach. I thought maybe it went this side of the fuel filter, and that the one I have hooked on the fuel filter goes down there. And that's still what I'm inclined to think. It just makes sense to me. But the pictures that I have when I bought this thing clearly show it hooked up how I have it. But the people I bought it from, they never actually ever started this thing. They bought it with the blown head gasket. They had great plans for it, and they never actually even touched this truck. So, the other thing I have to do prior to starting it up, I didn't bolt my engine mounts in because these engine mounts are bad. So I'm going to try to find some online or at the wrecking yard or something and replace them. They're bad. But there is a ground that went here. It came up attached to the negative ground to the negative terminal on the battery. And I cannot seem to find that wire, so I'm going to have to jimmy rig one together. Got radiator in. I think everything else on this side is good. I've not put in any brake fluid, power steering fluid. I've not bled the brakes. I did find in the snow, it was buried knee deep in snow, the other side of the muffler. And I bought one of these little guys just to sleeve it for now. I'm not going to weld it because that pipe and that muffler pretty old, so I'm not going to weld it in because at some point I'm going to replace it. But I just want to hear this thing run prior to really putting all that time and effort into it. I broke this loose finally. This is my, you got on the dash your little heater knob that turns your heat on and off. This thing was frozen. And I worked with it. In the end, I had to heat this part up with heat to bust it loose. And then after I busted it loose, I oiled it well. So, unfortunately, this part, that's the cable, it doesn't really freely move, so I don't know. I might have to pull this whole cable out and somehow try to get oil down in it. I don't know, but it does not want to move either. I know they make these heating systems that you can install. You use your same hoses and everything, but you bypass all this crap and your gauge is inside. They do it a lot for Jeeps, and I might throw one of those in here so that I'm not even using the Toyota heat system. I'm using the, hot coolant, but that's about it. So, we will take it from there. A few bells and whistles left to hook up. And then we'll do some major finger crossing and see where we go. Back again, ran to O'Reilly's. I took in my old starter, as you can see, brand spanking new, $70 later. They took it in the back and tested it, and it wasn't even registering, so it was actually really bad. Then she brought it out to the counter, and the old one had a kind of a hole up on top. She turned it upside down, and all this white, kind of like what you see on a battery, all that white corrosion powder, just kept pouring out like an hourglass. So, not saying it's gonna work, not saying it's gonna start, but I do know the starter was bad. So let's install this and see if we can recoup the day a little bit. All right, guys, this is take two. Don't expect it to start, but I'm gonna film it in case there's like a big explosion or a fireball. I don't know. We're gonna see. I have no brakes and I have no clutch, so you might even see it run through the front of the shop.
That seemed a bit dramatic.
It is dramatic. It's dramatic times. I come in here to put the brake on, but I'm like, what good does that do?
Okay. Why don't you put wood underneath the car, the tire?
I think I'm in neutral. Do you know if this fan was moving at all?
Yes, it was.
Alright. It could just be a matter of getting fuel. Because we gotta, that's a whole nother thing. The fuel pump could be out too. See if I smell fuel in the thing, because I know the fuel lines are dry, but all it takes is for the fuel pump to be bad, and I'm gonna have to replace that. Absolutely no fuel smell. I'm gonna run and get a little starter fluid. Hold up. All right, take 3. Not getting fluid. Alright guys, replace the fuel pump. I'm gonna try it real quick. See what else is wrong.
Oh, stop, there's smoke. Smoking a little bit.
Some good news. We get a little fire, so I think we're getting fuel. I just have to adjust, I think, the timing. So day 1 on this Toyota, guys, is a flop. Did find out something. I got pretty much everything put back together. Found out that my starter was absolutely toast. Found out that my fuel pump was absolutely toast. Now if I unhook this hose, it goes into the carburetor. It's now spouting out fuel. But when I pull the spark plug, they're as dry as can be, so I'm not getting any fuel into the cylinders. And it stands to reason. I mean, this carburetor has sat like it is for probably, who knows, 8-10 years. So I think it's in need of a clean. I think it's probably toast, because I know no fuel's getting past it. So I'm gonna pull it off, try to clean it with some carb cleaner. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. So, but day one, getting this thing started, flop. All right, try to start it. Some more keys. Okay, try it again. Try it again. Stop. So that's where I kind of am with this Toyota. It, as you can see, it'll run for a little bit, but it is not running right. It's not running well. This is me bypassing the gas tank, and still in all, it won't continue to run. So I don't know what's up. All right, guys. Little quick update on that Toyota and what I'm thinking. We got it to run, as you can see in that very last clip, but it ran extremely, extremely rough. And that was holding kind of a little container of gas right at the pump. I know when I hook it up to the gas tank, it's not pulling up gas. Yeah, I'm a little confused because there's a pump in the gas tank. There's a mechanical pump on the head, and then whoever owned this prior to me was running an electric pump. Some of my concerns, I did take off the carb. I cleaned it as best I could. I did not get a gasket set, and I did read that you can get some severe backfiring if you're having air leaks and that kind of thing. What concerns me about this carburetor is I don't know stock. I'm gonna try to show you, but there is, if you can see it there, baling wire. Now typically on these I see kind of a lever that runs that back side of the carb, and then a lever that runs the top or the front side, and they've got gears or something that intermesh. So these have been bale wired together. My problem is I don't know enough about it. I don't know what parts are missing and why it was wired together. I do know, like, when I've the limited amount that I've worked with carbs, you hit the gas pedal or choke or something and it moves those levers. That is not happening with my carburetor. And I have no clue like what parts are missing. I just know that it's not, those should not be wired together, I'm thinking, but you know, perhaps whoever wired it was thinking something I wasn't thinking. But I do know that I know that, you know, as far as finding top dead center and all that kind of stuff, that's all correct. I did that. I don't even second guess that. The motor's freshly rebuilt. I'm getting a nice blue spark. It's got plenty of compression. I know gas is not making it past the carburetor. I mean, some is because it's kind of sputtering a little bit. So I don't know. I think it's a carb problem. Definitely, if anybody has any sort of idea, you know, watch that last clip. You can see it run real rough, and I'm holding gas right at the, you know, right at the pump, and that's as good as I can get it to run, and it's backfiring, flaming out the carburetor. So I know, I suspect the carburetor, but I'd love to hear what other people might think. There again, the motor is a 22R. They've taken all the smog stuff off and running this 3236 Weber. So please, if you've got any sort of input, let me know. Greatly appreciated.